Good day, good day. This is your boy Rolando here on xyspark, and today we are once again very excited because we have a special guest with us. You'll never guess who we have, but believe it or not, it's a humble young man in the community who has been doing his part to reach and change other lives. This time around, we want to introduce to you a buddy of mine that I've met, great young man, humble. I've had great experiences. As a matter of fact, I want to tell you, if you check YouTube or Instagram, he is a sensation. Over 15.k followers. So he must be doing something right. I want to introduce you to my guest today, Two Socks. Two Socks, welcome.
Hey, Rolando, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm excited for the podcast and I can't wait to have this conversation with you because I know I'm going to learn a lot, not only about, masculinity, but a lot about myself too. So I'm ready.
Great, man. Thank you for being here. Guys, I'm going to tell you, man, I reached out to Two Socks, and I said to myself, I hope I can get this guy to come and talk to my followers. And when I reached out to him, it was amazing how he just said to me, Rolando, when do you want me to come? And it was so exciting to see a young man like Two Socks kind of like, I'm not so sure. He wasn't hesitant. He just dove right in and said, let's do this. And so, listen, brother, I want to tell you, we appreciate you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, I call you Two Socks, but what's really your name?
Yeah, so good question, Rolando. So my real name is Kevin Crawford. I go by two socks because I wear two pair of socks every day at the same time. And I've been doing that since the eighth grade. So now I'm 28 years old. So it's been over 10 years for sure. And the little story behind that name. So my mom, she actually bought me some shoe man Jordans, like some fake shoes, from a guy's like the trunk of his car. And it said it was my size on the box, but it really wasn't. They were like a little too big. They were again fake shoes though. So I took the shoes home. Those are my school shoes. I only got one pair of shoes a year for school, and those are my school shoes. So I had to wear those shoes. And so I wore two pair of socks to fill the gap because they was a little too big. And I've been doing it ever since. I really think my shoe size is like a 9 to a 9.5, but all of my shoes are a 9.5 to a 10. So that's an interesting story behind that name.
Wow, what an interesting story, man. So you see, the guy's name did not just come from just anywhere. He needed to wear shoes. And so he decided, this is my solution. And here is a guy who, instead of complaining about the size of the shoe, he found a solution so the shoe could fit. So thank you for sharing your story, Two Socks. And so you said that you one pair of shoe per year. So it sounds like you came from a humble beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely a humble beginning. I, I was just growing up, going to school, doing what I had to do, and my mom was providing as much as she could, and she provided a great life for us, and now I'm able to provide a great life for her. Um,
Great, man.
yeah,
Great,
going through
great.
school. I was like a AB student in college and stuff like that, and I just
Yeah.
always had my eye on the prize. So
Yeah. Two Socks, let me tell you, I can appreciate you, man, because when you talk about humble beginnings, I can relate. I'm that guy who, when I used to go to school, I had my little lunch in my little bag, and when it's lunchtime and all my buddies, they were having their lunch that they bought at the cafeteria or whatever. I was that guy who I would isolate because what I had for lunch, I didn't want anyone to see it. So when you talk
mm,
about humble beginnings, I definitely can relate. You know.
yes.
Now, no, 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 Two Socks, tell us about your journey. How did you get to that place now where, hey, I'm an Instagram and I'm a sensation. Guys like Drake, for example, use some of your videos in his videos. How did you
Mhm.
get there? How did that journey begin?
Yeah, so this is a long story. I'll try to shorten it for the viewers, but y'all get ready for this. So I went through college thinking that I wanted to be a manager. So I went to school for business management with the concentration in entrepreneurship at North Carolina A&T. And I graduated college and I did not get that job. So you know how a lot of people land that internship and it becomes full-time employment after they graduate. I didn't have that opportunity. I had like a 3.12 when I graduated, and I just didn't land that big job, right? So I thought that I wanted to do something, I guess, grand for myself because I saw all these other people, they work for IBM or Apple or whatever. So I'm like, I want to do something big too. So I moved to Georgia. I
Yeah.
moved to Georgia for 1 month and I worked at McAllister's Deli for 1 month. And I hated it. They overworked me. I was salary and I was still underpaid in my opinion. And
Mhm.
as soon as I got my paycheck, I put that morning, I left the key on the doorstep and drove back to Charlotte. Um, and I knew that I had to start like a different life for myself. And so I started working at Wells Fargo and I started making YouTube videos. And I had a camera. So I'm kind of fast forwarding a little bit. So I had a camera and I thought that I wanted to be a college photographer when I was like in school still. So the camera, I wasn't using it. It was just sitting and collecting dust. And my girlfriend, she actually coached a cheerleading team with her mom. And they asked me to come and take pictures of the cheerleading team for critiquing purposes.
Mm.
And I started taking the pictures and uploading all the pictures and GroupMe, right? And then they asked me to record the cheerleaders for critiquing purposes, right? And so this is when I ran into like this issue with the app GroupMe. It only allowed me to upload videos that were 30 seconds or less. So all
Mm.
the other videos that were longer than 30 seconds, I had to trim the video or I had to send the videos to the cheerleaders individually so they can see themselves. And so I was just trying to solve a problem, right? I was
Mhm.
thinking about Dropbox and probably other websites and stuff back then, but I chose YouTube. And I started recording all the videos, uploading all the videos to YouTube, not knowing that there's a such thing as like public, unlisted, private. I didn't know anything about that. I just thought if you share the video with somebody, then they'll see it, right?
Yeah.
So I was uploading all the videos publicly, and we had maybe about 30 cheerleaders at the time, and I would get maybe about 100 views, right? So I was thinking to myself, okay, well maybe they just showing their family and friends because it's cool to be on YouTube or something, right? But then we started getting like random comments and like negative comments too, like y'all ugly, y'all suck. And I'm like, wait, this ain't family and friends, right?
Yeah.
So that's when I realized that YouTube was like pushing our videos to other people, or it doesn't matter if they have the link or not, they can still come across my content.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, it's some power here. Like, let's go with this, right? So I just kept going. And at the time I was working at Wells Fargo. So on my 3-year anniversary, I resigned from Wells Fargo and I just, was able to do YouTube full time. So
Wow, wow, that's powerful. How ironic, that you said you resigned after 3 years. Because what if I were to told you that a couple of weeks ago, I too did some resignation from a company for 3 years to focus on what I'm doing here. To
wow, that
focus
is
on,
crazy.
yeah, to focus on promoting healthy masculinity, reaching out to more men. In our first year at XY Spark, we connected with over 500 men or more
Mm,
through our podcast, man, right across the globe, actually. And so we're aiming to raise the bar of that in year two, to reach more men and promote healthy masculinity. And as I hear your story, I'm thinking that's powerful because what I'm hearing is here you were in a situation, and instead of you focusing on the negative comments and all the quote unquote bad things that people were saying, you use that to your advantage and say, hey, wait a minute, something is going on here. Because here you have these guys over here, but what about these other guys? And you
mm,
tuned your mind into the positive side of how you could change that negative thing into a positive thing. That's powerful. So you resigned your job at Wells Fargo, big move, and then
yeah.
what?
So good question, man. So I know that I skipped a lot with that. I just kind of took y'all through years of my journey in a nutshell, right?
Mhm.
But it was also another struggle that I didn't mention and I think is very important, and that is like financial hardship, right? So in 2017, I had just graduated college in 2015, right? So I had a girlfriend. We got our first real apartment. It wasn't like student housing or anything. So
Mhm.
I felt the need to like furnish the apartment and put a TV in every room, get the king size bed, and I maxed out all my credit cards, right?
Yeah.
All my credit cards was maxed out. I had these high furniture bills and I was only making 30,000 a year when I first started at Wells Fargo, right? So my paychecks were about $900 every 2 weeks and my rent was 905 after the water bill. It was 855 plus water. So my rent was 905. I'm making 1,800 a month, and my girlfriend, she's still in college, so she's a cheerleader in college and stuff. So she's not working, she don't have time to work, and so I was in a rut, and I had to like break my lease, which is crazy. I broke my lease, and I ended up moving, and I slept on my friend's floor for 4 months
Wow.
to get all of this debt out, like to just kill my debt. I think with my furniture bill, I had about $1,800 left on it, but I was close to the 12-month period, and they were like, if you don't pay this $1,800, we're gonna like charge you all the interest we would have charged you, like backdate the interest or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So I was like, well, I gotta, because I think I had financed like $5,000. So I was like, okay, I need to go ahead and pay this off. So I broke my lease. I put all of my eggs in that one basket or whatever, and I made that $1,800 payment, right? And I was like, dang, like I sacrificed all of this, but it was possible for me to like clear that $1,800. And of course, slowly but surely, I knocked out all my credit cards and stuff too. Um, and so like I became debt free in that journey of like working at Wells Fargo and making YouTube videos, right? So this is important because that had a lot to do with my grind on YouTube. I've always been like a hard worker, every job that I've been at, like that's always been a title that I've always gotten. So I started working hard for myself on these YouTube videos, right? I'm like, well, if I can get 100 views, and I can get 200 views, right? So I started going hard on it, and then I heard that you can get paid on YouTube. So I'm like, well, I think I should be getting paid, and so I linked my Google AdSense account to my YouTube channel, which is like a whole conversation. Linked it together and started getting paid, right? So when I got my first YouTube check, I think it was maybe about $200, and I'm like, that's going to go a long way. So now I'm able to pay my bills because I was driving Uber just to make my account positive some nights. And just to be able to eat, like feed me and my girlfriend. It was crazy, man. And I was like, I had to drive Uber at night to try to avoid like those monthly, what is it, overdraft fees or whatever, $35 because I couldn't afford that, right? So I would drive Uber just to clear, just to be in the green and make maybe $5 more just to go to McDonald's and eat, right? So like that struggle this was all like in the last 4 years. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So it taught me a lot. Like I made a lot of sacrifices, and it taught me a lot about myself and how I needed to be selfish with my energy and stuff like that. And so the real question, I know, Rolando, you asked me a question. I just been going off on a tangent. In real life, I talk a lot, especially when I'm passionate about something.
It's okay,
But
man.
but the original question is like, well, what now, right? Like you're
Yeah.
asking like, what am I focused on now? What am I doing now?
Hmm.
Okay, so I've like established my business. So now I have Two Socks Productions LLC, and I'm in the process of buying a house now. And then also I'm making more money than I've ever made, and a job could ever pay me. Um, and life is good.
Man,
Life
that's
is really good.
powerful, man. That's powerful. And I have to say, Tusa, I really appreciate the humility that I'm seeing. I really appreciate how you're willing to come on this platform and share your story. I also hear you talking about the struggles that you had, sleeping on your friend's floor for 4 months, making big sacrifices. Now, as a male, you know, um, what was that easy for you? I mean, what was the main thing that drove you to that place where, hey, you know what? I have to really give up, so to speak, on all of the pleasures that I would normally have to work on this. What was the main motivating factor for you?
That's a good question. So I think there were a multitude of motivating factors, but I think the primary one was just I always I always like when I would be at work or even in school, I would always think to myself like I'm more than this. Like I worked at Taco Bell too for 7 years, and I come in and like I'll make the tacos, and I was great at it, but I would think to myself like I'm more than this. Like what am I doing? Even when I worked at Wells Fargo, I was selling credit cards, and I'm like I'm more than cold calling people and getting people to say yes to a credit card. Like I'm more than that. And so I just always knew that. And it was I would say in this journey, Rolando, it was like lonely for me because no one really understands like being on social media. This is kind of a new thing. So if I talk to my mom about it, she's like, no, you need a job, you need 401k, you know. And so she would be so opposed to me like taking this social media stuff serious until one day I was able to prove to her, hey, it's worth it, right? And I could show her the money and stuff. But I think that the main motivating factor was the fact that I wanted more for myself. And I knew that like I had the power to take control over my life, and I had to like do these uncomfortable things so that I can have a great outcome for myself. So
Man, what a powerful, listen, I want to reiterate something that Tusak says, just in case you guys didn't catch it. Notice where it started from. It started from him introducing to his psyche a different mindset. I am more than this. That's a watchword for this podcast. Okay. And I'm crediting the source according to Tusak's. I am more than this. And I'm saying to more men who are out there, you might be listening to this podcast. I don't know what your situation is right now. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what job you're in, but I just want to say to you, based on my body two socks here, you're more than that. And so I want you to pause now and breathe that thought in, that you are more than what you are, so that you can grow to become, and he said it, and you heard me say it so many times here on XY Spark, so that you can become the best version of yourself. And here's the icing on the cake now, what Tusak said, so that you can take charge of your life. So take your life back from those places that is telling you you can't, you'll never. And even here's what's powerful now, Tusak. Tusak said, hey, it was a lonely journey, but he stuck to it. And that is so powerful. Not only was it a lonely journey, but people in his life who were closest to him were not on board because they could not share or see the vision that he had. But he still stuck to his task. And that is powerful. And that is one of the powerful pieces as it relates to healthy masculinity. Because healthy masculinity is your determination, your drive, your purpose to stick to your task until you see the result that you envision. That is so powerful, Two Socks, man. Listen, man, you have just got me a little bit overly excited because of what you just said.
yeah.
Because mindset matters, you know. I continue to reiterate Manny Fernandez on Clubhouse. His room talks about mindset. And I'm hearing that the success that you've had and the strength that drove you is that your mindset was, hey, I am more than this. That is powerful too. So thank you for saying that, man. Let me ask you this now, buddy. So, things kicked off for you, you became a sensation. Tell us a little bit about how you balance that, because how do you balance your personal and your professional life as a now YouTube sensation?
Yeah. So I wanted to add to that. So I hear the passion in your voice, man. And like you're definitely somebody that I would talk to on a regular, because people that think like you can be around. Like I don't like people that don't think that way, right? But I just wanted to add a quote to like the statements that you were making. And that quote, the quote that I live by, my manager taught me this at Wells Fargo. He had a lot to do with why I am the way I am today too. He poured into us personally, not just professionally. But he said, that you are your thoughts crystallize into habit, and your habit solidifies into circumstances. So it all starts with how you think about things, and then your habits start to change because you believe what you're thinking, and then your circumstances end up being completely different than what they are now. So I just wanted to say that, and then can you please ask your question one more time, Rolando?
Yes, man. So the powerful thing, I love the quote, and I'll make sure I keep it in mind. So what I'm asking you now, Two Socks, is how do you balance your personal and your professional life? Because your sensation, you have a busy life, you always have to think about your next video, you have to think about, taking care of mom and all. How do you balance that? What do you do?
Yeah. So and this is probably going to be like, I guess, different to hear or something, but I don't see personal and professional, right? I just see one life, right? So I don't I even though I know that I have to have some sort of professionalism, even like on the podcast and stuff. Don't say curse words and stuff. In real life, I probably do. But but the thing is it's still just me, right? Like I don't show up as a different person. So when I think of like professional life, it's a completely different person, and a personal life is a completely different person. No, it's still me. It's just my actions may be a little different,
Mhm.
depending on where I am or what setting I'm in. I will say that one thing that I focus on now is me time. So I play video games on purpose because I can, one, and because like that's what I want to do. And like I used to beat myself up about it because I thought, dang, like this is a lack of discipline. Like you aren't being disciplined. You could be doing so much more. You can make, $5,000 today, Kevin. Like, why are you playing the video game? And I just realized that it's important for me to live the way that I want to live as I chase this dream or whatever, right? So we have to enjoy the moment. Like you never know when you're gonna leave here. You just gotta make sure that you are 100% happy. And it's weird because like growing up, I went to church and stuff with like my grandparents, right? But my mom wasn't really into church and stuff. She went because they went, right? So when they passed away, we kind of stopped going to church and stuff. But lately, since this like has been my life has been changing, I found myself being a lot more grateful and expressing a lot more gratitude just unconsciously. Like I will be like just outside sometimes and like I'll see the wind blowing the trees and the sun is shining and it's like peaceful and it's quiet, and I'll just take time to thank God, like thank you for my life. Like it's so weird. So I think that I'm having more of like an increase in my like spirituality and stuff too. Like indirectly, like I'm not going to a pastor saying, hey, can you teach me the book? Like I'm not doing that. But sometimes I do go to church and stuff with my girlfriend too. But it's just I'm building a relationship with like a higher being, and indirectly, and I didn't even know that I would be doing this. So that's another thing. And then also I had to, because yes, on Instagram I have 15,000 followers, right? And so there were a lot of people that knew who Two Socks was, right? So I was over here with these people, over here with those people. I'm in a fraternity, so I had my frat brothers and I got the girls and all of that stuff, right? I had to cut all that off, right? So I don't know if you've seen this or not, but yeah, I have 15,000 followers, but I'm following like 70 people, right? Because I had to realize that I was being exposed to energies and people that brought me down, like pulled on my energy and like made me less than, even though it may be fun, like it may be cool to like go chase girls or something. It may be cool to hang out with the boys late night and or stroll at the parties or whatever, but it's like not it doesn't correlate with my happiness. And so I had to get rid of that stuff. So a lot less people have access to me now. I have less than 50 contacts on my phone. So I've just been intentional about who's around me and who gets to take advantage of me and my presence and my energy. So
Wow. You know something, Tusaf? What you have just said is something that we are passionate about here at XY Spark, because we promote holistic healthy masculinity, which is balancing the social, the spiritual, the emotional. Okay. And so as I'm listening to you, I'm hearing you say, Rolando, I've made the necessary adjustments in my life in order to do that. And that is so powerful. And I'm glad that it came from you and not from me.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And I didn't even give you a script. I just want
right.
everyone to know who's listening to XY Spark that it's unscripted. Our conversation wasn't planned. We just come into the room and we talk with real people like Two Socks about how you balance it. And we can't miss the key elements. He said, Rolando, I found it important for me to have a connection with a higher power. I found it important for me to set some boundaries, as I recognize that some of the people who are around are in my life are pulling me down versus lifting me up. Okay.
Mhm.
He also mentioned that, hey, it's great to chase, but then it's not contributing to what, notice that the key thing that he said, his happiness. A lot of men, two socks, and I find as a therapist, a lot of us we're not happy. We're trying to find happiness in all the wrong places.
Yep.
We tend to think happiness is more external. So we chase the material. And I'm here saying, Rolando, life is good, but still I find time to be mindful of the wind as it caresses the leaves of the trees, of the sun, as it, touches my cheek and give me a gentle rub here and there. I'm mindful. I'm practicing gratitude. And I am so excited, too, Socks, that you mentioned those things because as men, we sometimes don't know the value of taking the time to do that. So I really appreciate you making that statement here on this platform because that is healthy masculinity in practice. Okay,
Yes.
that is not you saying, "Hey, wait a minute, I read something in a book over here." That's your life experience, and there's nothing
Right.
more valuable than that, man. So I really thank you for that. Now, let me ask you this too, so you mentioned having that balance, setting those boundaries, all that piece. Tell me, from your own work, what are some of the obstacles that you faced on your way to where you are now, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
So the initial obstacle when I first started recording, right? So like, yes, Wells Fargo taught me a lot. Like working in corporate America taught me a lot, and of course that manager taught me so much more than the job did. And then working at Taco Bell taught me a lot. Going to school taught me a lot. Living taught me a lot, right? But I'm speaking from like just the YouTube stuff now because that's what I do full time. So with the YouTube stuff, when I first started out, like the initial challenges was recording videos in the gym, like in the cheer gym or like on the track for like football games and stuff, right? I have a camera in my hand and I'm standing in front of cheerleaders. And you don't know, like it may sound normal now because I've been doing this for 5 years or whatever. So people have seen it probably, but it was so uncomfortable because you don't normally see people recording cheerleaders, right? And I would be at basketball games and you know how the walkway, like from the bleachers to the court, like you don't really got much of a walkway. I was standing there. So the referees sometimes they'll bump into me and like, hey, you need to get over. It was uncomfortable, right? It was a challenge. If it was a rivalry game and the gym was packed out, I was in somebody way, So I kept, hey, can you move? Hey, you, hey, move. You know what I mean? Uncomfortable, right? And then these thoughts that other people may have, like, is he a pervert or is he homosexual? Why is he recording cheerleaders, right? All these things were challenges for me. And I'm like, I got a purpose, I got a mission. Like cheerleaders work hard and cheerleaders aren't put in the light of being like a sport. Cheerleading isn't considered a sport to most people. And I just realized from recording them and stuff that they do work hard. And so I stuck to this, I'm gonna make sure that y'all get on TV mentality. And now I think we might be at like 220,000 subscribers, like over 47 million total views. And I made well over six figures, gonna make six figures this year too, just off the YouTube channel. It's like, man, like it's just crazy. Like,
Man,
and
that's powerful, man. So let me ask you this, man. You may have a young man who's listening to you. You may have a young man out there who is like, "What do I do? How do I face these challenges?" You may have a guy who may be an older guy, and he's feeling discouraged and he's not motivated. From your own life experience, what would you say to this person right now, um, about how they're feeling as an encouragement? What did you advise them to do?
so the first thing that come to my mind is like you only get one life. Like this is your one chance right now. Like you listening to me is during your one chance at life. Right now, I'm talking to you during your one chance at life. And if you want more for yourself, you have to do it. And you're gonna feel so uncomfortable because that's where success comes from.
All right. So we were talking, Two Socks, about what advice would you give to other young men, and as you said earlier, this is your one chance. This is it. So tell us some more. What other encouragement would you give?
It's going to feel uncomfortable. Like something has to die for something to be born, for a change to be made. So look at what you have now, like lay it all out. Like, what do you do every day? Where do you spend most of your energy? Where are most of your thoughts about? And like reposition it to a point where you're able to get the thing that you want out of life. Um, it's a lonely journey. I can't stress that enough. I don't care even if you do got 20 friends and all your family supports you, you're the only one going through this. You're going through it by yourself. And oftentimes people don't have as much support as 20 friends and family behind them and everything. A lot of people aren't fortunate enough to have that. So if you're one of them, I'm with you. And I know that you feel like an alien. Like I would always say that I feel like an alien. I feel like nobody understands me. Like not like no one, not even like people who are close to me, they don't get me. They just don't get it. And you'll realize like that's why they call people one percenters, because the other 99% of the world just are a certain way. You know what I mean? And you are that one that wants difference in your life and wants to be the special somebody, and like you can do it, and it's not too late. Like I'm 28 years old. Like it's I'm not old, but it's not too late. You know what I mean? And you see different people all the time that do it later on in life. There's plenty of examples of that. And while you're able, while you can, while you're in good health, or while you aren't on your deathbed, go ahead and make this stuff happen, because like we don't know what's next. Like we don't know. Like, but we do know that we can like shape our future starting today. Like we can make changes today to make a difference for our tomorrow. And you have to be intentional about that. You have to like wake up mentally. You cannot be unconscious trying to succeed in life. And so like you just have to like you have to see, like you have to open your own brain. You have to stop being normal and like think outside of how you've normally been thinking to be able to consciously make these decisions. Like you cannot wake up and say, I want to be successful, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be successful, I want to be a millionaire. Like that's not enough. Like, cause you said that before. Like you thought these things before, you said those things before. Like tell yourself what you're going to do to become that millionaire. Tell yourself what you need for you to become that millionaire. Like talk different, think different, and like actually think. Don't just unconsciously think, consciously think. Use your consciousness. And that's how you take control over like your life. Don't turn to, you know, alcohol or drugs or anything negative like that. Like just literally be within yourself, sit down and tell yourself like what's next for you and be serious about it. And that takes a conscious thought and a conscious effort, not unconscious. And like I'm sorry, Rolando, I'm just trying to get people to understand like what I mean. I just want to say, like, when you're on social media, when you're scrolling through Instagram, you're looking through YouTube videos, or you're watching TV, you are unconscious. You are not thinking. Like thoughts are coming to your mind, but you are not consciously thinking. You're unconscious. And so it cannot feel like that whenever you're talking about success or you're thinking about success. It cannot feel the way it feels when you're on social media. It has to feel powerful. It has to feel intentional. It has to feel different. And when you start feeling your thoughts, that's how you know you're in your consciousness. And like that's where the success gonna come
And
from, man.
Yusuf, listen, man, listen, let me tell you, I don't think it needs to be reiterated what you just said. That's so powerful. John Maxwell, in his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, he speaks about intentionality and being intentional about when we want to do something. And here you are again saying, hey, man, if you want to do something, don't just say you want to become, but make the move that you need to make in order to get there. And I think that is so powerful. Let me tell you, Two Socks, man, I really appreciate that you came on our podcast. Just want you to know that right now here at XY Spark, if you guys want to see more of the work that Two Socks is doing, tell the folks, Two Socks, how can they connect, follow, whatever, listen to more of your speeches? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so I do need to be more social, honestly. But I just be behind the camera most of the time recording cheer videos. But my Instagram page is two socks, TWO_SOCKZ. Also on Clubhouse, you can find me on at two socks as well. And then on Instagram, YouTube, my YouTube channel is Two Socks Productions, and that actually has an S on the end. So TWOSOCKZ Productions, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. And
Thank
Rolando,
you.
I just want to say, like this was great, man. Like I enjoyed talking about this. This did not feel like work at all. It was a very genuine conversation. xyspark is obviously on its way to great things, and so if you are listening, just make sure that you continue to listen, because Rolando has a good agenda. Like he's on to something great, and he's trying to change lives. And even if you are where you want to be, like you can still learn a lot from other people's stories. And so just stick around and make sure you stay tapped into xyspark for sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Two Socks. And as Two Socks says that, we just want to remind you guys that we are going to be having a special program every Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or 7 p.m. Eastern Time, called Sitting by the Fireplace. I'll be in it. Other guys like myself will be in it. You can come and let's have these conversations. Okay. And coming up on October the 7th, you cannot afford to miss this one. It's a program that we're doing. It's called Healthy Masculinity, Reset, Reload, Renew. Okay, and I'm going to be speaking in that program. You can tune in. You can see the poster on my Instagram page, so you can check that out, xyspark. And I'm inviting all the men, wherever you are, come and tune in to listen to this. Okay, and I also want to say to you guys that you see what Tusak said about being lonely. That is so prevalent now. Whatever choice of work that you're in, I can relate to being lonely. I remember when I was doing my undergrad, man, it was a lonely life. I was working hard. I was getting up out of bed at 4 a.m. in the morning to clean washrooms and wipe breezeways, to get to class at 8, okay, to work from 8 until 5, and then to go back to work again until midnight. So I know, and at that time, when I heard Tusak say, hey, no one gets me, I had a goal. So my passion now too, so as you said, why I'm so passionate about connecting with other men here on XY Spark is that I get it. I'm just not here as a guy who read books. I know the struggles, guys, and I'm saying XY Spark is here for you. So Two Socks, man, let me tell you, to say I appreciate you is an understatement, man. And I would say, man, let's keep the connection going. Okay, we hope we can connect again. And, feel free to join our conversations at any time. If you have anybody you think who could, tell them, hey, go listen to Rolando over there, man. Maybe you'll get a few pointers. But thank you so
Right.
much for being here on XY Spark today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rolando. Likewise, man. Thank you.